Are you absolutely livid with the current state of your favorite team? Or are you clinging to a sliver of desperate hope, convinced that a dramatic, season-altering move is just on the horizon? Because tonight, we're plunging headfirst into the tumultuous world of NHL trade rumors, where every whisper can ignite a firestorm of debate, and every potential deal carries the weight of an entire fan base's expectations. Welcome back to the Sports Pulse, your go-to destination for the most fervent discussions and most incisive analysis on the games that truly matter. All right, let's not mince words. The Toronto Maple Leafs are in a precarious position, and if you're a fan, you know the feeling all too well. Entering this week, they're staring up from near the bottom of the Eastern Conference with a disheartening 8-9-2 record. And perhaps even more concerning, they're winless in their last 5 games, a brutal 0-4-1 stretch. This isn't just a minor blip. This is a full-blown crisis for a team that consistently talks about Stanley Cup contention. The pressure in Toronto is always immense, but right now, it's reaching a boiling point. The immediate need for a roster boost is undeniable, a desperate plea for something, anything, to spark a turnaround. But here's the harsh reality. Finding that game-changing piece in the current trade market might be akin to finding a needle in a haystack. During last Thursday's Leafs Morning Take podcast, Jay Rosehill, a man with his ear to the ground, dropped a fascinating tidbit. He claimed a league source informed him the Maple Leafs were actively trying to acquire defenseman Rasmus Andersson from the Calgary Flames. Andersson, a 29-year-old blue liner, is slated to become an unrestricted free agent in July and carries a very reasonable annual cap hit of $4.55 million. On paper, a right-shot defenseman with his experience and capabilities could be a perfect fit for a Leafs team that often looks disjointed on the back end. However, Rosehill himself was quick to inject a dose of skepticism. He felt that such a deal would only materialize if Andersson committed to signing a contract extension with Toronto. And this is where the plot thickens. Rosehill openly doubted whether the Leafs possessed the necessary trade assets to truly entice the Flames. Calgary is exactly in a fire sale, and they demand a significant return for a player of Andersson's caliber. The Leafs prospect pool, while not barren, isn't overflowed with untouchable, high-end talent that other teams are desperate for. Adding another layer of complexity to the saga, just 2 days later, Sportsnet's ever-reliable Elliot Friedman weighed in. He revealed that the Maple Leafs had actually attempted to acquire Andersson last season, but were unsuccessful. Friedman, with his characteristic insight, suggested that the Flames' rear guard wasn't a fit for Toronto. This begs the question. If he wasn't a fit then, what fundamental aspect of the team or Andersson's game has changed to make him a fit now, beyond the Leafs' sheer desperation? It's a critical distinction between a strategic acquisition and a panic move, and the Leafs need to be careful not to fall into the latter category. So, if the Leafs are struggling to find the right trade assets, what's their plan? According to Friedman, the Leafs are staunchly not interested in parting with futures. This means their top prospects and high draft picks are, for now, considered off-limits. It's a commendable stance in theory, aiming to preserve the long-term health of the organization. However, it severely limits their options in the immediate term. Friedman did concede that if they were to seriously revisit their interest in Andersson, the Flames' asking price could potentially include top prospect Easton Cowan. Now, Cowan is a promising young forward, and moving him would be a significant sacrifice, a clear signal of just how urgent the situation is perceived to be. It's the classic dilemma in sports. Do you mortgage a piece of your future for a chance at immediate success, or do you hold firm and trust your development pipeline? For the Leafs, that decision is looming large, and it's one that could define the trajectory of their season. Given their reluctance to part with futures, Friedman claimed the Leafs are primarily focused on a roster-for-roster trade strategy. This means they're actively exploring which players currently on their roster might be attracted to other teams, with a crucial caveat that their core players are considered untouchable. This is where things get incredibly intricate and potentially very uncomfortable for some players. Adam Proto of the Hockey News has thrown out some truly audacious, almost provocative suggestions. He pondered whether the Leafs might consider peddling veteran defenseman Morgan Rielly. Rielly, a long-serving and often scrutinized member of the Leafs blue line, could potentially be offered to Pittsburgh Penguins for Erik Karlsson or even the New Jersey Devils for Dougie Hamilton. Now, let's take a breath and unpack that. The underlying premise is that the opportunity to play for a legitimate contender might entice really to waive his no-movement clause. It's a bold thought, a complete change of scenery for a player who has been through the Toronto grinder for years, facing immense pressure and criticism. However, the practicalities of these hypothetical deals are far from simple. The Penguins, who are performing better than expected, aren't exactly in a rush to move a Norris Trophy winner like Karlsson, who himself would also have to waive his no-move clause. Karlsson is a dynamic offensive force, and when healthy, he can single-handedly change the complexion of a game. Convincing Pittsburgh to part with him, especially when they're exceeding expectations, would be a monumental task. Meanwhile, Dougie Hamilton has explicitly stated he has no desire to leave the Devils. And even if he were to reconsider, the Leafs might not even be on his 10-team list of preferred destinations. These are not easy trades to make. Folks, these are high-stakes, multi-layered transactions involving players with significant contracts and considerable control over their own destinies. It's not like trading for a rental. These are potentially franchise-altering moves that require a perfect alignment of interests, and those are incredibly rare in the NHL. It speaks volumes about the perceived desperation that these kinds of blockbuster ideas are even being floated in the media. Beyond the headline-grabbing names, Proto also suggested that veterans like setter Max Domi and defenseman Brandon Carlo could be trade candidates. While Domi has shown flashes of brilliance, his consistency has been a question mark. Carlo, a solid defensive defenseman, could certainly fetch some interest from teams looking to shore up their blue line. Additionally, depth forwards Kaye Jarnkrok, Nick Robertson, Bobby McMahon, and Dakota Joshua were mentioned as potential pieces that could be moved. But here's the cold, hard truth that Leafs fans need to confront. Assuming the Leafs can even find trade partners willing to take some of these players off their hands, they are highly unlikely to fetch the type of returns that could provide a significant, immediate boost to the roster. These are role players, depth pieces, and while they have value, they aren't going to bring back a game-breaking center or a top-pairing defenseman who can instantly turn the tide. This is the inherent challenge for a team that has already pushed its chips in on its core. They've invested heavily in their top talent, and now they're looking for marginal gains, which, while important for depth and chemistry, rarely transform a struggling team into a contender overnight. Terry Koson of the Toronto Sun recently underscored this very dilemma. He observed that promising prospects like Easton Cowan and power forward Matthew Knies are the two Leafs that other clubs covet most. However, and this is a critical point, they are also among the least likely to be moved out of Toronto. This creates a classic catch-22 situation. The players other teams want. The Leafs don't want to give up. The players the Leafs are willing to move, other teams aren't exactly clamoring for. It's a classic trade conundrum, and it highlights the immense difficulty facing the Leafs front office right now. They need to make a move, but the right move, the truly impactful move, seems incredibly elusive. The clock is ticking, the pressure is intensifying, and the fan base is growing restless. What will they do? And perhaps more importantly, what can they realistically do to salvage this season? And that, my friends, brings us to the end of another intense edition of the Sports Pulse. From the swirling trade rumors surrounding the Leafs to the monumental decisions facing their front office, it's clear that the hockey world is never short on drama. We love dissecting these stories and bringing you our deepest insights, and we absolutely thrive on your engagement. So, if you found tonight's discussion thought-provoking, please do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe bell, and most importantly, drop a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on the Leafs struggles, who you think they should target, or if you believe a roster-for-roster trade can truly save their season. Your opinions fuel our passion, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. Until next time, keep that sports pulse beating strong.